talking about as a church in this aspect of transition and the change of mindset and the change of what God is wanting to do for the future. Because everything we're doing has to be, as we said before, remember the vision was to what? It was to lead us to Christ, to show Christ. It was to lift Christ up and to draw people to Jesus. That is what vision is. If that's not the vision, then we've missed who Christ is. It has to be Christ-centered. Remember last week we said that church is a place that you visit, but kingdom is a place that you live. Now, church is a place that you visit. Kingdom is a place that you live. And I want to just bring 2 or 3 things out with us as we're on this journey this morning about change and transition. Now, we said last week that change is not always easy. Change is not always easy received. Change is not an enemy of God. Change is a mandate of God. Change is not an enemy of God, but change is a mandate of God. And I think sometimes we see change in God sometimes as an enemy of God. Almost like, well, why would God realign me? Why would God reposition me? Why would God lead me to a new place? Why would God give me a new understanding of his kingdom when it's already in the Bible and he's already given me something 20 years ago? And I think we need to realize that actually change is a mandate by God. If you remember last week we said in Hebrews, is it 13 verse 8, it says that Jesus never changes. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Okay, so it's a great kind of paradox on that. That's not meaning that Jesus never changes anything and nothing ever changes. As we said before, in Romans 8:28, it says, all things work together for good to those that love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose. Why is God still a good God, even when there's despair and loneliness and anxiety and all sorts of stuff? Maybe there's death, maybe there's hurt, maybe there's wounds and stuff going wrong in my life. Why is God still a good God to Denver Thompson, even in the midst of the storm? Because the character of God is good. The circumstances around might seem that there's negativity. I mean, even when Jesus was on the boat and they were out there and they were like saps at sea, they were out there fishing, all of a sudden the wind and the storms and the rain came. What was Jesus doing? He wasn't trying to read the horoscopes, was he? He wasn't trying to have a prophetic word from God. He wasn't in his prayer closet. He was fast asleep, resting in the middle of the storm. And he woke up and he said, oh, guys, what's going on? Oh, there's a storm. We can't catch our fish. Oh, we're going to die. And he said, oh, hang on a minute, let's calm the storm. And so he had the authority in the midst of the situation because his character was good. His character is that even though we don't see it, even though we don't understand it, even though we might not be able to mark it out on a piece of paper, even though we might not be able to speak it, yet we understand that the goodness of God is going to lead us into the goodness of his promise. I said the goodness of God will lead us into the goodness of his promise. And so we understand that even though Jesus himself in his character does not change, things around have to change. Because change is not the enemy of God, it is a mandate of God.